right, welcome back to KLI Podcast. Today it's only Ike and I.
Keith just flew out for Vegas this morning, huh?
Yeah, he's gonna leave later tonight. He's
tonight?
working right now. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's going to Vegas. That's why he's not here. Are you still working at Blue Beacon then? Because you're also trying to get your real estate license right now, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm doing both. I'm trying to get focused, so I got to do a Zoom class and then an in-person class, and then I can go to Salina Tech and take my real estate exam. So I am excited about that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of why Isaac hasn't been here lately. He's been tired, and he just said he had 5 hours of sleep today. So
Yeah.
he's literally running on empty all the time. So we're trying to find it out where all of us can meet up, but it's just been difficult. So
Yeah. Hopefully next week we can get us all here.
So what is your goals for the future then? Do you want to continue to work at Blue Beacon, or are you just going to go into real estate full time?
My goals as of now is to continue as a full-time employee at Blue Beacon. I do love our company and our mission. We'll just see where it takes us, right? I am excited about the real estate thing. I just want to I haven't talked so much about it because I just want to do it first. You know what I mean? Prove to myself that I can do it, and then start worrying about wherever that leads me, start shadowing dad and stuff, so.
Yeah, I think you'd be really good at it. You know the business side of it very well.
Yeah. I don't know why I didn't get into it sooner. It's something I've always been passionate about. I realized this year that I've been kind of scared to pull the trigger on a lot of stuff because I think I became a little bit complacent because, I am making enough money. But I've kind of been on like this new, I guess, adventure of like, okay, Isaac, you know what I mean? You're getting older now. If you want to take some risk, let's take some risk now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I think if you play it too safe, it holds you back sometimes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, you're starting to realize that too. If you're playing it safe all the time, then you're not necessarily going to get where you want as fast, or maybe not even at all.
Yeah, 100%. Like I'm realizing now, like there has to be risk.
Yeah.
But like at what rate you take the risk, you know what I mean, does matter. Like you can eliminate the risk.
That's fair, yeah.
Like shrink it, but when you're dealing with like real estate or like what you did with your barber shop, you know what I mean? Like when you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to be willing to put it all on the line sometimes and hope it works out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
You've done everything in your power to make sure it goes smoothly, but obviously stuff always comes up, expenses come up, so there's always that risk.
There's always shit you can't account for.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's always going to be some bullshit at the end, but you take your punches and roll with it as it goes. So
how's the shop been?
Oh, it's been pretty good, yeah. I like it. We're getting so fucking busy right now, and I just went up in prices, and I think people are finally starting to realize that. Like, but Salina, we are hands down the best barbershop in Salina.
No, 100%.
Like, there's not really any competition.
Not even one close as far as like the vibes, even just like it feels like a barbershop.
Yeah.
When I walk in there, you know what I mean? Like that, you did a great job of incorporating like the right feeling for that building.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan kind of talks about like how every building has a feeling, and I feel like you've matched.
I get that from
like
so
the vibe
many people
of
too,
that
bro.
building is so good.
Yeah, well, it was a barber shop for 50 years too.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
And I think, I guess maybe when you know the background on the building, you kind of feel more that way. Because it has such a long history of, you know what I mean, people cutting hair in it, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But it's been really cool to see the process of, you know what I mean, you coming up, and all my friends obviously love you to death. There's a lot of people that go to you.
Fuck yeah,
They're always
awesome.
talking about you.
Well, dude, honestly, I was so scared about going up in prices for the longest time, and there's always barbers out there, even at the last barber shop, not hating on them, but they were just like, they didn't want to go up in prices. When I was like, I know we're good enough to do it, and I didn't understand. So then it got into my head like, oh, we have to stay at this price.
Yeah.
You know? But dude, $35 a month is not shit. Especially if you're spending it on yourself. There's people out there that are buying like eighths of weed a week. That's $35.
Yeah, and
know?
I think it just goes back to like, I mean, right, when you're doing entrepreneur stuff, like a confidence thing, like, because I felt that too, like even different. I'm not dealing with the price thing, but like having the confidence to do that, to know your work. Hey, my work is worth this.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's what you're paying me for. If people love you and they're on the journey with you, which I think they are, you know what I mean? They'd understand that, oh, Landon has to make money here.
25 of my dollars go back into the shop too.
Yeah.
I don't get to keep all that money.
No,
I'm making anything after $25.
Yeah.
That's what I keep.
Yeah, because there's so much business expenses that I just don't think people think about when you're trying to keep lights on in a building.
Yeah, dude, I was doing $20 a cut in the beginning, and I wasn't even making any money. Like, that's fucking ridiculous.
Just enough to stay open, yeah.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to explain to people, yeah.
It is.
I'm kind of getting with that right now. With, like, I've experienced that a little bit with, like, when I rent out my house. You know what I mean? Like, trying to explain to people, like, your market.
Well, first of all, it's your house, too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, you should be able to pay off your mortgage because you own it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and it's hard because it's a different dynamic. So, Rick, the only difference is I'm living there, right?
Yeah.
But what I try, like, and the people that I live with now are fantastic, but there's been people that try to roast me at work, and I'm just like, listen, the average rental in Salina right now is $1,000. What I'm charging the two people that live with me is nothing, especially considering the kitchen that is now in that place is $20,000. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like we all live bougie, like it's a nice house. Yeah, it's a nice little home. It's perfect. It's maxed out capacity for what it is.
Yeah.
And so that's what you pay for, right? Like if I'm going to reinvest money into the home that you're living in, rent's going to go up. Obviously, utilities. I mean, I'm sure everybody's feeling this year, but everything was just a lot more expensive. A lot more expensive, and overhead was just higher this year, I think, for people.
So, yeah, you're correct. I think expenses are really going up. But how do you feel financially? Do you think as everything is going up in prices that also your wage is going up higher too? Because with inflation, I think on hand, more people will say that they are also getting paid better than they have been before. But so I think it's equaling out in a way.
It's weird. So like, I guess I'm not the right person to ask as far as I'm so frugal that like, and I was talking to I'm drawing a Bruce.
Yeah.
About it.
Your therapist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That I always feel like the rug's about to be taken out from under me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know why I've always had that. I remember vividly when...
Stuck in survival mode.
Yeah.
Right.
I remember vividly
when... we grew up really poor.
Yeah. When mom and dad were about to... I don't know if you remember this. We were at the pool house, and mom said that we were about to lose our rental.
Dude, they were always fighting about money.
Yeah.
And they have a great relationship, but yeah, money gets between everybody.
Oh, and especially at that time in their life. Like, I just remember mom and dad...
4 kids.
Yeah.
You know?
And it stuck with me, like, losing your rental. Like, knowing, like, I understood that at that age. Like, we don't even own this home.
Yeah.
And we might lose it. Like, what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That is a very weird thought. Yeah.
Like, we'd even have a pot to piss in at that time. So, I don't know. I always think, like, especially with the field I'm in, like, as you get higher up in a company, I do think you should be... There just needs to be more benefits there, not just with the company I'm with. You know what I mean? I just see it for a lot of workforce guys. You get to, like, this 23, 24 an hour. And I think for, like, welding and all that stuff, it's a little bit higher. But then you stay in that spot for numerous amounts of years. You know what I mean? It's like... I just really think trades right now, these guys, it's continuing, and I think it will continue to go up. Like, as far as workforce guys are going to continue to get paid more. But it's kind of weird. I think there's been this shift where workforce guys are like, hey, I'm not doing this anymore
if they're not getting paid the right price.
Yeah, so like you're seeing this huge shift in the workforce right now as far as people are getting paid more than what they've ever been paid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As far as for jobs like HVAC, plumbing, whatever. But that's about knowing your value too. Like I was talking to Keith about, he was getting nervous a little bit about this management position as far as making sure they meet his demands.
Right.
And I think when people, where they mess up when they're asking for a raise, is they kind of like shoot themselves down. Like you have to go in there with confidence, and obviously there's a way to go about it, but if you do all these things for your company and you know that you're excelling and you know what I mean, what you're doing, you should not be afraid to go talk to your boss and be like, hey, I've been with this company for this many years. Obviously, I'm loyal to this company.
Yeah.
How do I grow in this company?
Well, let's break down what confidence means, because there's confidence and cocky. So confidence is stacking all the proof that you are saying what you are, like meaning that you are working all these hours, you're doing everything right in the place.
Yeah.
If you're just coming in there bluntly and being like, oh, I'm the shit, give me my raise, and you're not doing all that
Yeah.
shit, like that's wrong. But yeah.
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 Well, you've seen this
So
too.
being confident is showing everything that you are what you say you are.
Yeah, and you should be
Yeah.
confident in life. I think people like
yeah, but you
put such
have to
a
earn,
neg-
you
yeah.
have to earn confidence though.
Yeah, 100%.
You know,
I just think
so-
people put a negative connotation behind it. Like you want to be,
Yeah.
you can be confident and humble simultaneously.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
There's no, you know what I mean? Like people just put such a negative connotation on the word. Sometimes it's just like, you have to have confidence in stuff that you're doing.
You do.
Like in anything,
Yeah.
whatever if you're, you know what I mean, a secretary or whatever, you want to be the best in.
Well, we're in Midwest Kansas, and I think a lot of people here in the Midwest struggle with confidence. Like you'll see in like the really bigger cities and shit, it's not a problem to them.
Yeah.
They were raised off that mentality.
Yeah.
Here in Kansas, I think it's different.
No, I definitely agree with you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I always hear like people come here from different cities, or people from Kansas go to bigger cities, and like, oh, we can tell you're from Kansas just because you're like you act too humble and you act like you're not all that. Like your confidence is low, pretty much. Like
Yeah.
like say what you say you are, and and say it with your chest.
Yeah.
You know.
And I think there's a way to go about it. Like
Yeah.
there's a difference between confidence and arrogance.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So like arrogance, like you said, there's no validity behind what you're saying. You haven't done anything to prove what you're saying.
Right. Yeah.
So then you
Exactly.
can't come to me and be like, you know what I mean, as an employee and be like, hey, so and so, can you give me a raise? You know what I mean? When I didn't do shit. Like, come on.
You didn't earn it.
Yeah.
Right.
But I'm seeing this weird thing happen too with employees as far as like sometimes the crappy guy will get promoted over the good employee.
Why do you think that is though?
I think they're the ones that complain more. So like, I mean, I've definitely ran into this younger, but there's like, it's weird. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like if you have this kid, I don't know, if you have somebody in your ear all the time begging you for this raise and basically saying like, hey, because usually the lazy kids are the ones that will be like, hey, give me this raise or I'm quitting, right? And then the good employee is always just going to work. So you never, they're like, oh, one day, and this is where I see a lot of my friends mess up, like Ian, you know, sometimes he gets nervous to ask about these things, but I'm like, becomes one day where the good worker thinks that the boss is going to recognize all their hard work and they're going to promote them. And it's like, no, you have to ask for those things.
You do, yeah.
Because a company wants to know that you're confident. You know what I mean? They want to feel that too.
That makes a lot of sense, actually, yeah.
So
Yeah.
the good employees a lot of times will get
Yeah.
passed up just because they don't speak up.
I mean, thinking about it as a business perspective too, why would you give someone a raise that, like, isn't confident?
When you probably wouldn't, right?
Right.
Like look at it from a business aspect. If you had
Yeah.
somebody, even if you had a great worker, but
Yeah.
he never came up to like you and was like, hey, Landon, you know what I mean? Could we figure out, like, I want to continue to grow with you. Like, can we figure out a wage that makes more sense for me so I can continue to stay with this company? Like, that's going to mean more to you
Yeah, it is.
than,
He has balls coming up to me saying
Yeah.
that, like,
yeah, like, hey, I deserve more in a
Yeah.
nice way.
right.
So, I don't know. It's interesting. I think the workforce is coming up right now, though. I think college is kind of on that. I'm just seeing.
Depends on what you're going to college for, though. Because if
Very-
you're going for like digital design,
Yeah.
business, I don't think you have to go into unless you're like, I don't know. There's some stuff where I'm like thinking like accounting or I don't know, being a lawyer, some shit like that. Those are the people, or even a doctor.
Yeah.
Those are the people I'd want in college. But if it's like videography or I don't know, graphic design, music, maybe if you're going to be a teacher.
Honestly, it just is most things. Like most things you don't need to go to college for anymore.
Well, they're giving out stupid ass degrees like gender studies too, and it's
Yeah.
like, what the fuck are you majoring in gender studies for?
When I talk to
You
most
know?
people, and I just really don't understand why they're in college for what they're in. And
I
it's
don't
no
think they
disrespect.
understand either. Yeah.
Like kids are just growing up later. I was talking to Dad about that, and
Yeah.
there's this weird shift in our generation, as far as like you grow up way slower. Like you're taught to go to college, act like a kid, right? So like, hey, go party. You don't have a lot of responsibilities, and then you
Right.
get out of college at 24. Dude, you're 5 years or 6 years away from being 30.
Have no work experience.
No work experience, no real life experience,
You haven't worked with anyone, yeah.
and you haven't even taken
You're
the
used to
time.
the world bending around you.
Yeah.
I was talking about this last time with Keith. People, and this was a victim mentality. I haven't uploaded the podcast yet. I've been kind of sucking at it.
Yeah, I'm
But-
sure it's a lot of work. I need you to
Yeah.
show me how to do some of that. So I can
Yes,
help you.
yes. I'm gonna need your guys' help with it. But the world, or people now want the world to bend around them and how they view the world. When it's like that's not how the real world works. You are supposed to conform around how the actual real world is.
Yeah,
If that makes sense.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So.
I mean, it's just weird, like, what happened to, like, all the basic morals that we thought were good in a society as far as the generation before. And honestly, I think our generation is fantastic. I think people are too quick to say, like, well, back in my day, you know what I mean? Like, this was better. I recognize that technology is a huge asset, and I think a lot of people should be utilizing those things. But as far as, like, what is it called? I don't even know where I was going with that.
That's all right. Yeah, technology is a huge asset now. I think more people should be using it more, but it's hard and it's different. But
Oh, just like in general, like us growing up later. Like I don't know about you, but like I was excited. Like I like those basic morals as far as like have children at a, you know what I mean, in your mid-20s at some point.
traditional values.
Yeah, traditional values. I just don't know where a lot of those things went. And a lot of our society now, it's like on both sides, women and men. Like Instagram preaches the most nonsense bullshit that I've ever seen.
We're gonna get into that here in a little bit.
Yeah.
There was actually a hearing for all of those tech companies.
I did see that with Mark
You wanna talk about
Zuckerberg.
it now? Yeah, we can go into it right now.
Oh,
So yeah,
dude.
Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok, and I think other tech CEOs were brought into a hearing about all the shit that they were doing wrong, and they're allowing all these kids to see all this weird shit like sexual stuff or even people getting killed, but like they'll censor political beliefs and shit, which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Who was it? Ted, what was his name? I don't want to fuck up his name. The senator. He ran for president, but I love how relentless he was with Mark. He was just like
He
this
made him
is-
apologize.
Yeah.
Like, Mark was literally stuttering, like he was put in timeout and shit.
Yeah.
Like, he was.
And it made me like that. I can't remember his name, but it made me like that senator more.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he's making a lot of sense.
Yeah, we can play it right now.
Ideation, themed material, self-harm content, and that's fantastic. That's great. What's odd, what I'm trying to understand is why it is that Instagram is only restricting, it's restricting access to sexually explicit content, but only for teens ages 13 to 15. Why not restrict it for 16 and 17-year-olds as well?
Senator, my understanding is that we don't allow sexually explicit content on the service for people of any age. How
is that going?
Our prevalence metrics suggest that I think it's 99% or so of the content that we remove, we're able to identify automatically using AI systems. So I think that our efforts in this, while they're not perfect, I think are industry leading.
Industry leading could mean a lot if the standards of
I like how they were all laughing at them after he said that too. Like, he doesn't know about there's fucking sexual stuff that's on there.
The weird part is Mark Zuckerberg, it seems like he doesn't know a lot about his own company. And I don't know how much of a backseat he's taken, but like even on Joe Rogan's podcast, like when I was watching him, like he seems like a genuine dude.
He does.
But he seems like he's way out of his, what is it called? Depths. Like he cannot control how big the social media has become as far as like just output and the content that's being posted on Instagram.
I imagine he's in a very tough situation though. Like he has the CIA telling him, hey, don't let people see this about other political shit and talk shit on our government. But he's also has to allow freedom of speech to the people. So it's like he's in a very weird situation. Like, could you imagine the CIA knocking on your fucking door, telling you how to run your business?
Yeah, and then honestly,
that's fucking insane.
But, I mean, they would act, if you didn't, they'd act unfairly towards you, right?
Yeah.
They'd look into anything about you.
So he had to censor about the political stuff, which I thought was very fucked up. Yeah. And I do think they should have been focusing more on the sexual assault and killing and all of that shit, but they're telling him to focus on this other shit too at the same time. So it's like, I don't know. He's put in a tough spot. So I understand from his perspective how he could be out of the loop with some stuff. Yeah. But.
Well, especially since it's you can invest into it now too. Like he oversees daily operations, I'm sure, but like he is not as involved as what he was before into that company. And I think what sucks is he's the one that gets all the flack for the company because he's the, what is it called? The image of the company. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just don't think he's invested as much money into Instagram as Facebook. Because Facebook, I feel like they do a lot better job monitoring the shit that they're talking about. It's Instagram that they're really like.
And so he apologized to all these families that have killed themselves from Instagram and made it easier to get drugs on Snapchat. And he said that he was working on stuff with Facebook. And that's what bothered me too. Like you said, he hasn't put a lot of money into Instagram or Snapchat.
And yeah, which I would honestly say Instagram, which it's kind of confusing to me, is bigger than Facebook.
Yeah, a lot. It's an older generation thing. I don't know a lot of people.
Right, because like new generation likes like simple. Facebook is like
we're fucking gorillas when it comes to that shit. We like stuff that's more convenient.
Yeah,
humans are always going to be that way. Yeah, you know? That's why I like Apple stuff, just because it's not complicated.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. So we had. Oh man, hearing him stutter when he was apologizing to those families. I mean, he kind of deserved it. He really did, because it was pretty fucked up, the shit that they're allowing on that, on their platform. But
yeah, and there's no way he doesn't know to some extent what's going on.
Yes.
Like he has to be.
It's kind of being ignorant.
Yeah, you're just turning a blind eye at that point.
Yeah.
Like even if what he's saying is true, it's like, okay, dude, you have this.
Like millions of kids are getting on this. Platform.
You have a huge responsibility.
Yes. And he signed up for that.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's his job.
So you're going to take that scrutiny if it doesn't work out well.
Exactly.
Yeah, 100%.
And then with the TikTok guy, oh man, one of the senators were grilling him, but he's from Singapore, so I guess he has nothing to do with China, which I didn't know at all. I thought that was funny. I don't know. How do you feel about TikTok? Do you think there's any way that they're trying to push political beliefs or anything like that? I think they're doing it on all platforms, to be honest. So I don't think it's just TikTok, but
I think TikTok might be the most addicting app
of
our lifetime.
Yeah.
I don't have it.
I don't either. I would never scroll on
I
it
never
again.
downloaded it. After I read their agreement, I was like, as far as they can just look into like attach to a lot of your personal stuff.
They can reach into your laptops, can't
Yeah.
they? And stuff like
Yeah.
that. And
They
yeah.
can see a lot of stuff about you. So I'm just like, yeah, I don't need that. You know what I mean? And I'm not really a shorts guy. I think our generation
Well,
is.
why would
I
they
watch
need that too?
podcasts.
Even if he's just a part of Singapore, why would he need all that stuff? And there is TikTok offices out in Beijing, in China.
Yeah.
So it's like, if China still does have a part of that, it's still kind of sketch, because there's not Instagram offices out there, and it's
No.
TikTok is supposed to be an American company, isn't it? Or is it? I mean, he's from Singapore, but
I don't know where it was originally created. I think what Trump was talking about, which is just creating separate servers. Like everybody said, like when Trump was talking about it, they're like ban TikTok. I don't think that was ever the idea.
like make one for the American and then one.
Yeah.
For, yes.
So they
I like
can't-
that one better.
But then it's just like you're trading one demon for another, because then the American government's looking into what you're. You know what I mean? It's not like the user agreement changes. All
Yeah.
these companies,
All of them are doing
Instagram,
it, yeah.
Facebook, they're all listening and watching what you're searching, any of that shit. You know what I mean? That's how they create your algorithm. Like I've made my
It's
algorithm.
to push other products. It's
Yeah.
all about capitalism. I
It's
mean,
funny.
they-
I've only
yeah.
watched positive stuff for the last like month on purpose, and all that comes up in my feed.
It's podcasts. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
That's all I watch. Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah. They fucking grilled them. That's about all I watched from it though.
Yeah, I didn't go too deep into it. I just agreed, and it's a step in the right direction. I think though.
I do too. I think our government should be getting involved. I mean, our government should be getting involved in most shit.
But it's hard as hell because if it's not one demon, it's another. If we take it out of the private ownership sector and we give it to government, then the government's going to have an unruly amount of information, which they already do. But they're going to have more access to
I
all
don't
your
think the government
intimate
should own the
details.
company. I'm just saying they should put laws on certain
More
stuff.
regulations.
Yes, and regulations.
Yeah, 100%, because it's pretty absurd at this time.
The market should belong to the people. The politicians should never be involved with that. I mean, you see that though with other politicians that are involved in stocks.
Yeah.
Who's the VP right now? She gets tons of fucking money because she's in on all of it.
Oh, insider
Does
trading.
Insider trading.
Yeah, Nancy
Kamala
Pelosi.
Harris, or was it Nancy Pelosi? One of them. I don't remember.
I think it's Nancy. Oh, the vice president you said. Yeah, is
It's
Kamala Harris. Yeah.
She makes millions of dollars a year from insider trading.
Nancy Pelosi.
And
was
everyone
another
knows
one.
about it.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny that there's just a lot of things that I think our generation is not like looking into. It's like they voted against. So they had this vote basically against insider trading. And the fucking whole courtroom shot it down because that's what they're all doing. Like, no, let the public vote on that issue. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
no, you should not be allowed to, and I agree with this, there should be some duration of time where you cannot invest into stocks until you are out of politics.
Well, they're all in politics for money. So
Yeah.
it's at the end of the day, that's how politics work. They're gonna push laws a certain way because they make money off of it. And until politicians are doing their job because they really want the best for people, then politicians almost shouldn't be there. But they're all doing it for money in the end.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where the system gets corrupt.
Yeah, and I honestly think that's been our demise of our country, right? That's been the story as of late. Like, whether it's our healthcare system or, you know what I mean, these government issues, like, they always, it's like they just do what makes them money. It's not like, hey, let's diagnose and treat this. It's like, hey, what are we going to do to keep getting our patient to come back? You know what I mean? Let's keep prescribing you medicine. Let's not figure out why your body's acting this way. You know what I mean? Let's just react right away. Let's take a medicine. Let's have a surgery. Like, it's just been the story with so many areas right now in our country as far as politicians just doing what makes people money.
Yeah. I mean,
There's no regulation.
I was listening to Andrew Schultz and Vivek on this, actually, where he was talking. Vivek has a book talking about how woke people got started, and it's not like some evil group that's like trying to get woke people and push it out there. It's actually businesses pushing out woke ideologies because they think that it's going to help them climb higher in the ladder with their business. So that's how wokeism is started. They think, oh, the people are going to love this, so they push that idea.
Okay.
So, did you watch that with Andrew Schultz and Vivek? It made me want to read his book.
I saw
honestly.
it. I didn't. I've been watching Vivek, but I didn't
Yeah.
watch that podcast yet. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it. I love that guy.
Have you heard
though.
him talk about woke people at all?
I've heard him just talk about, the whole thing in general I disagree with, as far as like just recognizing that there's two genders, or like just all these things like he's just really level-headed about. Like I wouldn't even say, like, to me I know he represents the Republican Party, but I feel like he's very progressive in a lot of the things that he wants to do.
He's honestly a libertarian, and this
Yeah.
is where RFK fucked up. He went independent, and Vivek knew if he went independent, he would have fucked himself over. And RFK has run a terrible fucking campaign, terrible, and it's honestly really let me down because I love RFK. He's very smart. He talks good, but his whole campaign has been shit,
Yeah.
and it's very sad.
He died off hard after that Joe Rogan podcast. Like,
He did. That was his peak, and now it's.
what he should have done is just went on the media right,
He should have stayed
right after
Democratic.
that. Yeah.
He should have stayed there.
Yeah.
But he totally fucked himself over. It didn't make.
But
any
I think
sense.
he was trying to change the system, because it is weird, like when you go independent, how much harder it is to be elected as a president. And I don't know if we've ever had an independent.
We never have.
Yeah,
No,
so-
we've had Teddy Roosevelt, I think, create his own party once, or was one of the presidents.
So, like, that answers it perfectly. Like,
Yeah,
yeah. I don't know.
it
It's
was the
weird.
Moose Party. He might have been more libertarian too. I don't.
I love Teddy
remember.
Roosevelt. He's my
Yeah.
favorite president of all time, dude.
Yeah, he did a lot of badass shit. And he did like a lot of stuff for nature.
National parks,
yes,
any of the
yes.
stuff reserved for national parks, that's all Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah.
And just like, he was the first president, he was a Trump. He played the media, good or bad, you know what I mean? But people loved his policies.
Right.
So I think that's the biggest thing, and it's just the reoccurring theme with Trump, which is, dude, just don't talk like such a fucking narcissist, and people don't, you know what I mean? People won't hate you.
Well, it's interesting. I heard Trump speak when he brought Vivek on the stage. Did you watch that? He even said that Vivek has nobody that hates him. And he said that you almost need people to hate you so you get your name out there in social media or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a very interesting mindset as a politician, because you almost don't want anyone to ever hate you. But
Yeah, but I get
in
what,
the end, people are getting their name out there. I mean, it's proven that if people hate you more, you're going to be all over the internet.
Yeah.
You're going to have more followers for some reason, because
right, in
people want to
any,
see.
yeah,
They want to watch you fail. It's like
Yeah.
Jake Paul. People want to watch him fail, so that's why he gets so much money.
yeah, it's like in any sport or
they have so
anything.
much animosity
Yeah.
against him. Yeah, like Patriots.
Yeah.
Everyone used to hate the Patriots because of Tom Brady for a while.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. He's, I don't know. I get what he's saying, but I don't agree with the way that he did it, because if it's at the cost of dividing the country with your words, you know what I mean? It's not worth it to me.
Well,
But I've literally, and I don't know if you've followed his campaign this time, he has been just
he's
so
run a very good
level-headed.
campaign. He actually has, yeah.
And the way he talked about Vivek, and just the way he's approached this campaign, I don't know who got in his ear finally and was like, hey, Trump, just calm down with the wording. You know what I mean? Just be true to yourself. And then now I would say that I think we've rushed him to a presidency. And I told you and
I
Dad
think he's
this.
gonna be president.
Yeah, I think
he for sure is going to be president.
he'll be our next president. And honestly, it's crazy to me that we didn't have.
It's going to turn out to who hates who more, Biden or Trump, and nobody likes Biden.
Yeah.
It's just, no.
Yeah, literally. Literally.
I think even Democrats are getting tired of it now. And I'm starting to see a lot more pull of wokeism going away, because people are starting to realize it, honestly, too.
Yeah, I do think people are waking up for sure.
You know, with every force, there's an opposite force against that. So I think some people are like actually seeing what the fuck is going on around them.
Yeah, they're like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope he elects Vivek as his VP.
Someone said that they don't think he will, but it might have been Breaking Points I was watching. Someone said that one of people from Trump's campaign asked RFK if he would ever be VP, and I would like that too. I think either one would be great, honestly.
Yeah, 100%.
RFK or Vivek.
I think
he might get along better with Vivek.
Yeah, and he will be our president at some point down the line, I think.
To be honest, it wouldn't make much sense for Trump to hire RFK as vice president. I think, I don't know. RFK said that he didn't say that he was strongly against it. He said he was actually honored for someone telling him that to be VP for Trump, but he said that he wouldn't do it. So it doesn't mean it's off the table for him, I think.
Uh-huh.
But to be honest, I don't know if Trump would do it. I don't know if it makes much sense for Trump to do it.
Yeah, I wonder who he's looking at. Because I've
Yeah.
heard people say that he's not looking. I just think Vivek is I think he's going to be for our
He's
generation.
so smart. What scares me, though, is I still don't understand where he came from. Like, I still don't know much about the guy. Like, I've listened to him talk and stuff, and I think he sounds very smart.
Yeah.
And it sounds like, I just hope he's authentic. I don't know if I've looked into him enough to really tell if he's what he says he's going to do and what he's about.
Well, it's hard to know, too,
Yeah.
right, until you're in that role. If you're going to do what you say you're going to do.
Right.
I mean, most presidents have preached bullshit that's quite literally never got done when they got in the office.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they said they're going to do all sorts of shit, and it just never happens. And you're like, okay.
Yeah.
But then there's the funny thing about the CIA and the FBI. They say, like, every president has an idea of what they're going to do until those guys actually tell you what you're going to do.
Well, yeah, this is what I love about Trump and Vivek. They're not products of the state. So even Vivek has a book, I guess. He talks about products of the deep state, and he says Nikki Haley which she's actually Republican, isn't she? They say that Nikki Haley is the same as Biden because they're both products of the deep state. Like, the government made them who they are. And so the Biden is really being run by people around him because those are the people that brought him up. And he said the same thing about Nikki Haley.
That makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know how to go much deeper into talk about it, but listening to him talk about it, it made a lot of sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot
Like,
of
they're
sense.
products of the government, I guess. And so that's
Yeah.
how they're being ran.
Yeah.
You know?
That's where, like, a Trump or Vivek, they come in and they're like,
They actually want the best for the American people.
yeah, and they're just about good business for America,
Yes.
for our people.
Yeah.
I just think it's common sense. When you look at what those guys stand for, why would you not want that?
Right.
It's like we can figure out all the issues in between, you know what I mean, where both sides are kind of like, because every problem is just complex, you know what I mean? There's never going to be an answer that makes both sides happy completely.
Never.
But we just need to get back to a point in society where people can talk and feel like they're not going to be scrutinized over their beliefs.
We've become an emotional country.
Yeah.
Like, we're always putting stuff on the news that's emotional. It's trying to make people mad. And people need like you said, they need to learn to talk again.
Yeah. I mean, I talk to a lot of people in our generation. I'm just like, they're passionate about stuff that they don't even know about.
Yeah.
So, like, they believe something that's like, if you say it out loud, it sounds dumb, right? And that's where I'm just like, go back to common sense.
Yeah.
Like, and it goes back to high school when I had that social studies teacher, you know what I mean? She told me, should we ban Muslims from typically extremist countries? And when you ask that question, I'm just going to go off of, I didn't have any facts in front of me, right? I'm just going to be like, yes, we should put our own company's safety ahead of another country's, right?
Uh-huh.
But then she said, did you know that Trump banned a bunch of countries that typically didn't have extremists? And I said, I didn't know that. I said, you're trying to sit here and play it like I'm some like Republican or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I lean both ways in a lot of policies, you know what I mean? Like, you didn't give me all the information. And then you're sitting here, and that's in a public school, you know what I mean?
She's trying
Like,
to play a game of where I hate when people do that, when they try to ask a question to make you say the wrong thing.
And and it's crazy because like a teacher's
like they're waiting for you to say something wrong so they can be like, aha, you messed up.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, just tell me what you're thinking.
Yeah.
You know?
And a teacher's supposed to be a mentor.
Yes. Right.
Like, you don't need to sit here and try to make some kid look like a jackass.
Yeah, like patronize you. Like, what the fuck are you? I'm a little kid, bro.
Like it was a setup. You know what I mean?
It is. It is a setup, yeah.
Like you knew how you were going to word your question just so you could get somebody to answer that you could be like, because everybody's scared. Everybody in class, especially in like 2020, at the height, I think, of like all the craziness as far as all these crazy movements and, dude, like people were scared to talk about any of their beliefs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm reading a book about it right now with San Francisco. I mean, no one wants to be a cop right now. I've been cutting a couple cops' hair just because of ever since the Black Lives Movement. And what's funny about the Black Lives Movement, it was all white people being violent. It wasn't even black people. And I think how that is going to end is black people need to stick up to other people that are doing those outrageous acts, saying they're allies and stuff, and saying, you're not part of my demographic, so why should you have a say in it?
Yeah.
You know? Like,
yeah,
me being white, trying to stand up for their community, that's cheesy as fuck.
Yeah.
You know?
And it doesn't look good.
It's not right. Because they're making them look like, I don't know, that's the wrong way to say. But they're doing violent acts for no reason as almost a scapegoat to be anarchist or to act up. Is how I see it, you know?
Yeah, but like any movement like that, race or not, like you've seen it with like in time, right? Like
right.
Every time those movements, like if they meant what they said they meant, everybody's for it. But like you said, like there's always something where it gets a little bit rebellious, right? Where people want to act crazy, and you don't want people to represent those movements. Whatever the movement is, if it's, you know what I mean, whatever issue. Yeah. Like we need to.
Well, the BLM
get those fucking people out of there.
Purpose too. They were Marxists, and they came out and said that in the beginning.
Well, and then there's all this embezzlement of money.
They didn't even use the money for their community.
Yeah, it just.
And it's because
like,
if I support the movement, like I don't think the movement is wrong. I think behind the scenes, like they're in the right spot. But what people were doing for the movement, destroying businesses and acting crazy, is what I couldn't get behind. It's
I just can't get behind the. Like I'm trying so hard for like I just want our generation to get away from race.
Yes, I've never even saw race until that was an all-time high. I didn't care. It literally didn't matter to you though when you were a kid.
No.
Exactly, and now it's like an all-time high of like, oh, you're.
It creates division.
Yeah, it doesn't make
like when
any
you're
sense.
saying, you're literally saying why we're different, right?
Right.
You're recognizing that we're different, or like in everybody. I just feel like in every home you have your own culture, right? Your own morals, your own way that you were raised, and your own beliefs.
Yeah.
Like everybody has different. We need to stop dividing each other. Well, I think our generation is the most accepting generation of all time.
No one cares.
Nobody gives a fuck about the color of your skin.
Yes.
Period.
And
I'm saying that and people like get these crazy ideas about certain like Republican states. We live in Kansas. We're saying we never grew up with it. Never happened. You know what I mean? And I just think there's this perception in society right now, and we got to get away from it.
It's victimhood. They want to play victim.
Yeah.
I don't like that. It never works out when you're playing the victim.
Yeah.
You know, like.
I'm all for pride. I think that's different, right? Like having pride for your culture. That's different.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
But using it as a division tactic, which I think is what I've seen mostly with it, with any of these movements, you're just like, it's bullshit. You're just dividing our country even further.
You are. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Until they learn to represent BLM movement non-violently, then yeah, I can't get behind it. I can support it from a distance, is what I'll say.
Well, and it's just interesting as far as like the people that are running the organization themselves have embezzled fuck tons of money. So like you just said, none of the money was
I don't
allocated.
think any of those people are looking at the facts and really into it. Right?
Yeah, no, there's no way.
Like they just hear like Black Lives Matter, which is true.
Everybody
Black
can
Lives
get,
Matter.
everybody
You
agrees
know?
with that. Yes.
Yeah, no one is going to disagree with that argument.
Yeah. No, yeah, these girls, Joe Rogan had one of these people on, and these fucking people were buying houses with the money,
Yeah.
mansions, like misappropriating all these crazy funds for a
Right.
huge movement. And I'm just like it just blows your fucking mind. You're just like, yeah, that doesn't represent anything of, like, you don't want that to be for you guys. It's just, it's not what it represents.
No,
you
they're
know?
not spending it on their people and helping them come up.
Yeah.
And yeah. Candace Owens was talking about that too, where she gets hated on just because she's trying to talk about real life shit and like, hey, what you guys are actually doing, like you're not actually upbringing people and shit. And it's very weird because she is a black person speaking up and talking about it and trying to help other people, but I think people are so brainwashed and they are not doing the full research that they could be doing, looking into it.
Yeah. And I think it's funny right now. Like, I can even feel the tension as far as like you're trying to tread on the conversation. It's just,
Yeah.
reality is reality, right? Like, we care. We have to bring our country together. And I just think it's been there's just so many ways that I think our government and just like all these movements and just all sorts of other little shit it keeps dividing us
Yeah.
when we all need to just come together.
Yeah.
Like,
I do feel a little uncomfortable talking about it because I'm not black and I'm
no, and I completely understand.
yeah. But ever since the BLM movement, there have been way less cops. And I cut so many cops here, like I was saying, and dude, they're struggling so bad to find people that want to do that job now. And it sucks because we actually need more cops. And in the book, when it talks about like Seattle defunding the police and doing shit, there was way more crime. They were trying to decriminalize crime.
Well, look at New
And
York.
It was insane.
Yeah. Like,
Well, San Francisco in California and all the West place is way worse than New York. New York is getting there. It's traveling all the way across America now.
yeah.
But like everyone follows after what the west side of the country does because that's more popular, it's more
Yeah.
sexy, you know, it's in.
Well,
So-
I think personally, like, I've met a lot of shitty cops, which sucks. I love cops, though.
I've met a lot of good cops, dude. Like a lot of them want the best for people, but yes, I've run into some shitty ones too, where like they get like power and stuff, which I think they should do more training.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think we should defund them. I think we should be stricter.
No,
we should be stricter on who we let be a cop.
There
and
should
who
be more funding.
in there, and
Yeah.
and people are making it worse for cops and making it even more uneasy for them to do their job.
Yeah.
You know, like they're hating on them for no reason when they are actually there to actually help people.
Yeah.
So
It's just a crazy standpoint to have to defund the police. Like, I just don't understand it. I feel like we need to have more investing into our police force as far as de-escalating situations. That's like the cops, like if you look in how they're trained, they're not taught to de-escalate a situation to the fullest extent. Like, you should have a minor in psychology. All these other, like Canada, even though I don't agree with, you know what I mean? Like,
socialist.
their
But there are
government,
some stuff that they do right.
but like as far as like their crime rate is so low.
well, even in Amsterdam,
Yeah.
their crime rate is so low too. And they're decriminalize all drugs over there. And they
Yeah.
don't have a lot of drug use. But what they do is they actually have interventions with. They have court gets involved in the family if they see someone keeps doing reckless stuff, getting involved in drugs and doing dumb stuff on the streets. They will literally tell them and force them into rehab. Where like rehab isn't an option. Like in here, it's an option. Like you
Yeah.
have to want to go on your own.
Yeah.
The courts will force it in Amsterdam because they're like, no, dude, you need help.
Yeah.
And then we'll get their families there and look them right in the fucking eyes and be like, yeah, what you're doing is fucked up,
Yeah.
you know? And I think that's how it should be here. And especially with,
Well, it's not about rehabilitating anymore, right? Like, prison was supposed to be for rehabilitation. So like if you look at all these other countries, like they let their prisoners, they let them go out in the community. Like you have work release, right? And you earn those things, and then you take classes. As far as like in American culture, it's just not. It's just like if you go to prison, dude, you're coming out worse, dude. Your life's a wreck. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, 90% of people actually go to prison for violent crimes. It's actually not even for drugs. And so what people think is going on is that all these people are going to prison for drugs when it's not the case. Actually, people are becoming more violent because we are decriminalizing violent acts. We're letting people get away with stuff. You know, we're in San Francisco. They'll let you get away with like certain crimes because of your demographic. They're like, oh, you're a certain race or ethnicity, so you are okay with getting away with this. When in fact they should be stricter on those communities because it's just making them worse.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make any sense. So it's like, how do you expect things to get better if you're just letting them get away with it?
Yeah.
You know?
And I love Joe Rogan, what he says about it. Like, what is it called? If you want to have a great country, get rid of the losers. Well, how do you get rid of the losers? You have to have laws into place, right? We have to have people abide by those laws. And any of these, literally any of these states right now that are struggling with the crime rate, or like all these crazy things that are going on, the only solution is to put more funding into being a policeman, paying those guys better, making it more of a struggle to become a policeman, I think is a huge thing too, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it becoming not a us versus them mentality, right? When did that happen? The funny thing is I'll see somebody go talk shit on a policeman, but if somebody's breaking into your home, who the fuck are you going to call? You're going to call a police officer, you know what I mean? You're going to call 911. Like, it makes no sense to me that you're going to sit there and trash these guys and then you expect them to come save you. You know what I mean? Like, we have this whole toxic culture around law enforcement right now, and those guys, I definitely feel for them. You know what I mean? Like, we need to resolve that issue.
They genuinely want the safety for you. And what happens is, I think, so since we have less cops, they're working literally 13-hour shifts, bro. They get tired as fuck, and they don't want to deal with people. So I can understand why they can make some wrong decisions.
Yeah.
We need more people to become cops.
Yeah.
So they don't have to fucking...
You're working a 13-hour shift, and then you're dealing with some
you expect
mentally
them to be
incompetent
nice with you
person
when you're being an asshole to them.
Yeah.
You know?
Or like you just might be a little bit more flinchy. You know what I mean? I've worked a 12-hour shift, dude. You're a little bit delusional at the end. Like, you're asking them to make rational decisions after working a 12-hour shift. Like, no, dude.
And they would make them work shorter shifts if they had the people to do it.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah, 100%.
So, I think we should be pushing more people out there to become police officers and to support our community. And they do need to get paid better. They definitely need to get paid better, for sure.
I think in any of these struggling communities, the first thing what we should do is literally more police, more funding, right? Properly train these guys.
Yeah.
And then actually fix the schools in those areas. Those are like the first two things where we could
They do need a better education.
Like we every president, and even Trump did this, and I didn't like this. We talk about fixing these places that have high poverty, and it never gets done. You know what I mean? Like, there's never any movement to like put better schools there, to try to figure out how to actually deal with the crime rate that's so excelled in some of these places with that high of poverty. Like, you have to give them outlets to go do stuff, to be an upstanding citizen, to make anybody, like if you live in a Detroit, like, you know what I mean, in a really high poverty area, like the only way you're going to make it as a kid is if somebody tells you it's possible. And you have outlets as far as college, any of the same accessibilities that, you know what I mean, a kid like me or you has.
Yeah, you need to give them hope. Right?
Yeah. Like, hey, if you want to go to college, go to college.
You can't tell them, hey, you're not going to be able to do this.
Yeah.
Or anything like
That doesn't work.
No.
And we've always just had this
They're
big...
just going to shut down.
Yeah. We've always just had this big mental health issue. I think like you can relate everything back to this country has a huge mental health problem.
Well, it started with Carter when president. Lil Wayne raps about it all the time. Carter stopped doing like all these mental institutions, like he shut them down, which I think they were handling them the wrong way when they should have. He shouldn't have shut them down though. He should have just made them stricter. Like I said too, it all comes down to actually fucking making things stricter and doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Besides not doing it at all. Doing it not at all is not the right answer, or just letting it happen. And that's where people become overly progressive.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, mental health is okay, when it's like, okay, it's okay to have mental health, but we still need to help these people.
I think there's probably a scare as a politician too, like looking at it from their standpoint, to fix some of these issues, because I mean, there's going to be a learning curve. There's going to be things that you do in the right direction. Like with the mental institutions, like they notoriously overdrug their patients.
Yeah.
So like you said, it's not like get rid of the mental institutions. Let's hold people accountable. Like, hey, like even nursing homes in America are fucked up. Like, take care of the patients.
Right. Yeah.
They're there to be rehabilitated, not drugged out, so you guys don't have to deal with them. You know what I mean? Like,
and then again, you're doing that job, and you should be passionate about your job.
yeah, get the fucking bad people out of any industry. I think that's the biggest thing. But I think as a politician, it would definitely be scary, because if certain things didn't work out that you had the right intentions behind, you know what I mean? You're going to get all the scrutiny, but at the end of the day, sometimes it's just hard to do your job, right? Like, it's not going to be easy to fix those situations. It's going to take years, decades to get it. You know what I mean? Right. Some of those areas where they need to be, and we just have to do it. And we just haven't taken any steps to actively help.
I think we know the direction that we need to do, but like you said, we haven't done it. We haven't taken this step towards that direction yet. And talking about it is cool, but yeah, and it's like, that's all we can do is talk about it, like you and I.
Yeah.
But it's going to take the politicians to actually do the actions to do it.
Yeah. And I think like this, like conversations like this help, because I think there is a shift in our generation right now where, like you said, like people are opening up their eyes.
Yeah.
Right? So like if a guy like me and you or Common Joe can sit here and risk, you know what I mean, people scrutinizing us.
Right.
Then you can, you know what I mean, just go out there and look into stuff and make some decisions for yourself. You know what I mean? And I think people are opening up their eyes. They're like, I don't agree with a lot of the shit that's going on in this country right now.
Yeah.
Well, I think we all agree. So like, how do we both sides come together? Fuck.
There's more us than them.
Yeah.
If everyone is talking about it, they're going to be like, oh, fuck, you're right.
And I think just everybody makes stuff about politics. Like, fuck politics. How do we just come together as a country, right? To like better our country, because we all want the same thing.
We have tough conversations.
Yeah.
That's what it all comes down to, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
Use your words. Use words before fists.
Yeah.
That's how it should always be.
Yeah, I agree with you.
You know? Yeah, I don't really have much else to talk about, but...
Me either. I think that was a good ending.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you guys for watching.
Thank you guys for watching.
Yep. That was good.